is The Furnace with John Burton.
All right, so there are few topics that I can introduce that will trigger people, trigger Christians specifically these days, more than the topic of our president, Donald Trump. And I'm telling you what, there's something unhealthy out there. The way that Christians, there's this subculture of Christians that they come unglued, and really the best word that I can use is triggered. They are triggered anytime President Trump is challenged on anything. And boy, they go to great extents to ensure that nobody is saying anything in any sort of a negative light regarding President Trump. And so they go to great lengths to explain why they are going silent regarding issues and concerns. And I'm telling you, there's something just kind of wacko going on that's driving Christians to have such a blind devotion to President Trump. Now, I've got to tell you, here, of course, he's being impeached, and we're in the midst of that, and so we're not sure how that's going to play out. But, I'll tell you this. Guess what? It is absolutely not only possible, but fully appropriate to both support our president. We absolutely should. I said that when President Obama was around. I've said it many times, that we need to honor those who are in authority, that God ordains authority. He establishes authority, is what the Bible says. And so we need to do that. So we need to have integrity. We need to have appropriate character. We must do that. We must honor authority. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are translating this idea of honoring authority, that you never deal with issues, that you go silent. And then you celebrate them regardless. You celebrate them, no matter what they say. And I'll ask questions. I'm like, listen, so what if President Trump right now flip-flopped on his position on abortion? What if suddenly he comes out as pro-abortion? Would you not talk about that? Would you just sit back, just like you are now? You're arguing that we need to sit back and refuse to, quote unquote, say anything negative about President Trump. You don't ever talk about the concerns. You don't ever talk about the issues. You don't ever talk about foul language or the fact that he's exhibiting, some immoral characteristics or whatever. You don't ever talk about that. And so the question is, what if he was suddenly pro-abortion? Would you really not talk about that? And I'm sitting here thinking maybe they wouldn't. And people are just deluded. They're deceived. And it's maddening. And so people, for example, you turn on the news and commentators who are talking about concerns about President Trump, and listen, I'm talking about right-wing commentators. They'll talk about the things about President Trump that they affirm, they appreciate, and then they'll also talk about things that concern them. Are you telling me that that's inappropriate? And they are. That's exactly what they're saying. They're saying it's inappropriate, that we should never ever deal with anything that is quote unquote negative regarding President Trump. I've had people tell me that when we do that we are enabling the enemy. We're enabling the enemy. And so the argument is that we cover up sin, we hide, we go silent, we become unconcerned about that as a spiritual warfare strategy, so the enemy doesn't get a foothold. Okay, nowhere will you ever find that as a strategy at all, in terms of spiritual warfare, in terms of righteousness, you're not going to find it. And it's silliness. It's absolute silliness. Because here's what's happening. Is when we as Christians support President Trump, and by the way, this could be anybody. But right now we're talking about President Trump, who, by the way, guess what? I support him. I'm pro-Trump at this point. Very well may vote for him. So there's people out there that are accusing me of being a never-Trumper. And I'm like, okay, do never-Trumpers vote for President Trump? I didn't know that. And so we support him. But if we don't bring to the surface, we don't shine the light on issues, then what happens is the Christianity that we represent becomes watered down. So now, I might say I support President Donald Trump. I might say I'm going to vote for President Trump. I might say that he is God's man of the hour, that God has ordained him for this hour, that God has called him. I might say all of these things. And then President Trump does something that's immoral, foul language, whatever it might be. And so now what happens is people presume that it is perfectly fine to be immoral and to be a Christian at the same time. So that's what I'm communicating. So if I stay silent, I am communicating that it's no big deal. In fact, I've heard, I don't know how many times I've heard that. I've heard many times from supposed professing Christians to where they would say that, listen, I know that President Trump is brash, and I know that he uses foul language, and I know that he's vulgar, and I know all of these things, but it doesn't matter if he's getting the job done. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he's that way, because guess what? We need someone like that right now at this time in our country, in our nation. We need that. So that's the argument. And I'm thinking, have we gone mad? Has the Christian culture in our nation gone absolute bonkers to say that it doesn't matter? I just don't care. It's no big deal. It's a non-issue. Doesn't matter. Because in order for us to get done what needs to be done in our nation, we need someone like him. We affirm, we celebrate, we're thankful for the fact that he is vulgar, for example, that he's, and this could be anybody, again, it could be anybody. So we're thankful that this person is vulgar. We're thankful that this person is immoral, because the immorality that he is embracing is actually a weapon for good. So he's using immorality as a weapon of righteousness, a weapon to accomplish goals. That's what's happening. So people say, I don't care if he's getting the job done. So now, if that's the case, then people will say the same thing about me and my business. So, for example, I'm a business owner. So it's okay to be immoral in business as long as I'm getting the job done. It's okay for me to be immoral in my church as long as I'm getting the job done. See, this translates a lot of different ways. There are people out there that will say, you know what? I need to drink, and I need to cuss, and I need to hang out with sinners so I can get them saved. Same thing, same idea. And it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. So, let me ask this question. When did it become unloving to stand for righteousness? When? When did that happen? Now, again, I'm saying we need to do it with a heart of honor, with a heart of love. We need to do it with that. Always. There's never a time that I would ever presume to get out there and to make these stands without having a heart of love. But what happens is people immediately interpret anything that is said regarding the President Donald Trump, specifically is who we're talking about today. Anything that's said about him negatively, it's in a negative light, automatically that's hatred. Automatically. And so, and we see this with ministers also. It's like, listen, we don't need to be talking about the fact that that minister has had sexual affairs or that minister gets drunk or whatever. We don't need to talk about that because it's unloving. We just need to pray for them, which, by the way, is nonsense. We do pray for them, but we don't just pray for them, right? And and then people are buying into the worldly argument. Do not judge. Judge not, lest you be judged. Well, that's an incredibly one of the most mistranslated scriptures in the Bible, right? And so people do that, and so I think there's this maddening spirit or something that's at play where people refuse to sound alarms. They refuse to be prophetic voices. They refuse. They think somehow that they can't both support President Trump and also sound alarms at the same time. That they have to be yes men. No matter what he does, they've got to be yes men. They've got to go silent. And it's foolishness. It's utter absolute foolishness. Not only is it foolishness, but it's abdicating the responsibility to do what they're called to do as Christians. And nowhere is ignoring immorality, downplaying immorality appropriate. It's not. And so, yeah. So people wonder. It's like, John, you're making such bold statements, which these aren't really bold statements. Do you support President Trump? Well, at this point, yeah. Should he be impeached? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Is he doing good things? He's doing a heck of a lot of good things. Is bringing up issues threatening his ability to do good things? No, it's not. It's enhancing his ability to do good things. Because immorality, wrong attitude, wrong character, lack of integrity, all of that stuff compromises your ability. This is basic 101 level stuff. Compromises your ability to represent Christ. See, and he's a professing Christian, by the way. It's something else I didn't talk about. That changes everything. The fact that he's a professing Christian changes everything, right? And so, yeah, just wanted to get that out there. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this, or maybe I wouldn't love to hear what you have to say because you may be triggered. Yeah, your absolute support of anybody is inappropriate. You need to learn to honor and also sound alarms at the same time. All right, there you have it.
Thank you for listening to The Furnace with John Burton. You can access media, read articles, and partner with the ministry online at burton.tv. And by all means, share this podcast with those who are hungry for revival, reformation, and revolution.